This is Justin Timberlake.
Hey, this is Avril Lavigne. This is Born from No Doubt.
Hi, this is Usher, and you're listening to
You're now tuned in back to the Voice of Reason talk show. This is your host, Prevail the MC. I got my co-host on the side of me, Michael J. Corsi. I just want to tell y'all that it's an honor to have Dr. Stacey Tyler in here with us today, man. I had a phone conversation with her about a week ago.
Right.
And when she was talking to me, I just want to say I felt like it was rocket science to me. I don't know how my viewers would feel. She's so intelligent. She's so on point with what she knows. She knows what she knows, and you can't tell her otherwise. Dr. Stacey Tyler, she has dedicated 10 years to obtain her PhD from Wilder University and public policy and administration. She specializes in homeland security coordination and policy. Dr. Stacey Tyler, I'm so nervous to have you on this show, and I'm going to say that once again because we've never had anybody on such a caliber on this show. And for you to come out here with us guys, between me and Mike, we just want to say we appreciate you. We thank you for coming out. We're like the little men right now, and looking at what you're doing is so amazing. Sometimes you feel like you're not worthy enough to even have your greatness.
Yes. Thank you.
You know, so sometimes you don't feel like you're worthy enough to have that greatness in your presence. And, you know, God will show you the doors. He will bring the right people around you to say, she's great, but she's going to teach you how to be better and show you what greatness is about. So I thank you for the conversation that we had on the phone. I thank you for even coming out tonight and making an effort to come out to be with us. Mike, you got anything to say to Dr. Stacey, man?
Just want you to just be yourself and make yourself at home.
Thank
and whatever you want to say, just say it. Most
Right.
definitely.
Yeah, say it. Say it. So how are we going to start this? Before we started the show, Dr. Stacey, she just started pulling out everything on us, y'all. Like, well, let's talk. I'm looking at y'all. She started pulling out everything. Her book, then she hit me with another book over here. And as I was looking at all her books, I had a little flyer on the table promoting mine. Like, tuck mine, because she got so much going on. I'm looking at the desk. I'm looking at the table. She came fully prepared to give us some notes about what she really does. And I'm lost for words, Dr. Stacey. Why don't you inform us a little bit more on what you do, please?
Yes. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much, Glenn and Mike, for having me. Excuse me. I don't want you guys to feel as though that you all are just little pawns. No, because you see all of this, but I feel as though I'm thankful to be on your show for you all to even have me. You know what I mean? And to let you know that this is the first market in this tri-state area that I've been able to speak about this.
Awesome.
Wow.
Because everything else, I've been in Washington, D.C., Virginia area, because my major is Homeland Security, specialize in airport security. You mentioned I have 22 years in the airline industry. So that means that not only I have the 22 years, but I grew up in the airline industry.
Right.
My mother retired from the airline industry, 25 years. So my sisters, we all were in the airline industry. We were raised in the airline industry.
Wow.
So this is something that I'm just not I lived it. I just didn't decide to do something.
Right.
I eat, breathe, drink aviation.
Right.
Okay. So I started my journey out as a part-time customer service agent with my degree. Okay. And I went back to school to get my master's degree. And then in that period of time, I was with Northwest Airlines with my mom. And I said I wanted to be a general manager. General manager. Just operating the station, meaning that when you get to the airport, you see the ticket counter, the gate, the ramp, operations, and you see, I'll just give you United Airlines at the Philadelphia International Airport. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to run an operation for an airline. And you're talking about the naysayers. No, you'll never do that. Just a lot of pushback that I received. I finished my degree, but realizing that I didn't know what I had, I didn't know what I had at the time. And what happened is that my boss felt the threat, knew I had something. I was supposed to have been promoted to Detroit at the time, and things happened because she stopped me. She cut me right off the knees. So I knew right then and there, when you have adversity, you know good and well you're onto something. Well, I want to say a few years later, I became the general manager. I developed my station from the ground floor, meaning that there was not even a plane flying into. This was for TWA, TWE. And I developed, since then I developed 5 stations throughout the country for various airlines and airports throughout the country. So it gave me my opportunity so that I can just really create and develop stations, hire employed, get the resources, the infrastructure, the community, the airport authority, and get everything together, manage the operation. It's the whole airline. So, so with that being said, I wanted to further my education. Education is key. So I wanted to get my PhD, and
I was doing some research about that at one point. You said there was a time when you couldn't even get your PhD or something like that. You were
Right.
fighting to get back into school.
well, I started in Pittsburgh. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Okay, I'm not from this area at all. And excuse me. And I wanted the traditional classroom.
Okay.
The traditional classroom. I wanted to go to school just like everybody else with my backpack. But what happened is that there were issues, because airlines, there's nothing out there besides, management. And I wanted something to be, sort of, it can, relate to my degree. Well, unfortunately, 9/11 happened. Excuse me. And when 9/11 happened, it opened up the door for my degree, Homeland Security, Coordination and Policy, for Walden University.
Wow.
And at this time, I moved to Kentucky, Cincinnati Airport, in operations. I was a GM for for Delta Airlines in Erie, Pennsylvania. Then I moved down to Kentucky. And that's how I started my journey obtaining my PhD. Now, getting to the good part.
Okay.
Getting
Hey,
to the
let's
good
get
part.
this in.
Okay. So here, the bankruptcy, the mergers occurred in October, where Northwest Airlines and Delta filed bankruptcy on the same exact day.
Wow.
So I knew that I'm not from Kentucky. So there was a reorganization. I knew that I was not going to be able to sustain in Kentucky. So I had to, move myself out of that area. I was in school, Homeland Security. Now, here's my criteria for my book. Major airline, major airport. Major airline, major airport on the East Coast. Philadelphia.
Nice.
So I came to Philadelphia and I started my PhD program, which I was already in, but now my research. My research was conducted at the Philadelphia International Airport, and it deals with the miscommunication of TSA policies down to the frontline employees,
Okay.
preventing weapons,
Okay.
contraband, and prohibited items passing through security access points.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're getting into what this is all about.
Okay.
As I was working, managing the operation, I'm in school, and I would see some things. Well, it's really starting in Kentucky because of TSA, TSA policies. And as employees, we have these CITA badges, those badges that are around our necks, the lanyards, So those CITA badges is the gateway of the world, meaning that if you have a CITA badge, you go anywhere in the world.
Wow.
There's nothing stopping you. period. So here, with the TSA policies, TSA came about, the Transportation Security Administration came about because of the unfortunate terrorist attack of 9/11. So before 9/11 happened, the passenger screening process was underneath the Federal Aviation Security Administration, meaning that private security firms had it, and then 9/11 happened. Now we have TSA. You follow me? Okay. So with that being said, those policies that are out there, you guys fly. Whenever you fly, you only are allowed to take certain amount of liquids and gels, right? The 311 policy, right? Okay. So that policy was generated out of the Great Britain terrorist attack, August 9th, 2006. Okay, so everything that's happening out there in the screening process happened because there was a terrorist plot. Okay. So that 311 policy, that plot unfoiled in Great Britain. Okay, I'm an operations manager for U.S. Airways, and I'm at work doing my normal thing, 5 o'clock in the morning, but I'm upstairs because I was a rent manager at the time in operations, and I'm upstairs with my coworker, and I'm like, where's all the passengers at? Well, they're stuck behind. Well, they're stuck at security checkpoint because the plot unfoiled August 9th, 2006 in Great Britain. I'm at work August 10th, and all of a sudden, we have no idea as airline employees, managers, who we have to get those passengers from security onto the plane, security checkpoint onto the plane, push back. So we had no idea. So now you're confiscating all liquids and gels because of the potential terrorist attack on the U.S. commercial airliners. You know what I mean? So the whole body imaging, same thing. Another terrorist plot. The underwear bomber,
Wow.
And so
Okay,
everything that's going on with security out there, it deals with terrorism. Okay, so now the Transportation Security Administration, those policies are supposed to be communicated down to the frontline employees, the airline and airport employees. Okay, so this is where my research consists of. Okay, so those policies are supposed to be communicated to the frontline employees. Well, meaning that the airlines, we have a regulatory compliance department. The regulatory compliance department, or corporate security, but it's normally regulatory compliance department, any kind of policy change, it is get from the government, from TSA, from Department of Homeland Security, from any is given to the regulatory compliance department. Okay, from the airlines. That information is supposed to be disseminated to the leadership of the airlines. So I'm leadership, right? I'm getting it from the regulatory compliance, right? So those policies from leadership to the frontline employees, and when that gap, how does that information get from leadership, from the agency to the regulatory compliance, from leadership all the way to the frontline employees? And we're supposed to know the policy change 311.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that's where the gap is. So when my research is, why is this so critical is because the airline and airport employees are misusing our SITA badges, bringing
Come on.
bringing large amount of drugs, weapons, and items through. Okay, for instance, last year there's a couple of incidents that occurred. My employee got murdered at the Philadelphia International Airport by another employee who brought a knife through security access points by using his SITA badge. my employee's name is Aaron Jenkins, and I hired him as the GM for GAT at the Philadelphia International Airport, and I had JetBlue Airlines and Spirit Airlines underneath my belt. And when I hired him, he was a ramp employee for working the JetBlue planes.
Okay.
So, excuse me. So he was murdered last year working with WFS underneath Frontier Airlines. And there was an altercation in the break room, meaning that he was on break and he's on break, resting, and another employee came in and, turned on the light, and he asked, can you turn it off? In the break room, there's an altercation, Aaron gets up, they started fighting. Aaron had the advantage in the fight. So another employee came into the break room and, bear hugged Aaron. Aaron got up and threw him off of his back. That employee went flying across the room. He gets up, charges after Aaron, pulls a knife out of his pant pocket and stabbed him in his upper thigh.
Wow.
So, one, that prohibited item passed through security access point by using his SIDA badge.
Wow.
One.
Abuse of
Now,
power.
okay.
Right.
Okay, so follow me. So, you heard about the Horizon Alaska airline employee who stole the plane in August?
No, I didn't
I
hear
didn't
about
hear about that one.
Okay,
so you deep.
aviation.
No. Yeah, you
Okay.
elaborate on that. Come
Okay,
on, though.
so
Learning.
so in August of last year, an Alaska airline Horizon employee was working out on the ramp and literally gained access did a tug and tow bar procedure. Excuse me, let me back it up. The plane was on line maintenance, positioned at a remote location.
Okay.
So this gentleman, who's deceased, was a ground service agent, and what transpired is that he utilized a tug and tow bar procedure, repositioned the plane 180 degrees, meaning that he utilized a tug and a tow bar to hook up the tow bar, attach the tug to the tow bar, plane, tow bar, tug.
Wow.
Repositioned it 180 degrees,
Wow.
unhooked, and then gained access to the plane. Got up in the cockpit. Now he's a ground worker. And took off, and he
How is
murdered.
that even possible?
Wow.
Did I say misusing the SIDA badge?
Oh, you didn't say that. That's what I said. How is that even
Yes,
possible?
you
You said that earlier?
Yeah.
I thought that was when the guy stabbed him in the leg. So this is just a bunch of abuse of power with this.
What my research consists of is the internal threat.
Okay.
Right.
We
okay.
are considered as the internal threat to the aviation industry
Okay.
by misusing our SIDA badges, by
Right.
bringing the weapons, drugs, contraband, murder, stealing planes, the whole gamut. So the aviation workers are considered as the internal threat.
So basically, they're not being screened the same way as a traveler would be screened.
Come on now.
That's
Okay.
what that's what
So-
we were talking about
Basic,
earlier. I
yeah.
wanted to know because
So great question. Okay, so there's only four airports that are only at 100% screening. That means that the airline and airport employees are screened just like the passengers. Atlanta, Orlando, Miami, and Detroit. Everybody else, we're going through a security access point by using our badges.
Wow.
wow. This might be completely off topic, but I just wanted to ask you something based on the fact that you work in the airline like that. Is there a lot of? I was on my way to LA, and it's just a question I wanted to ask you. I was on my way to LA from Philadelphia, and we had a layover, and we got off through the layover. I was walking through, and all of a sudden I seen these plain clothes guys, but they had guns on them, and they ran up on me and said they ran my name through something, and my name came back funny, and they started searching my bags, throwing my CDs all over the place, broke my video camera, and searched my pockets, asked me did I have any money on me. And the other people that were on the other plane with us while we were all walking over, it was like, he didn't do anything wrong. What is the problem? But when I asked them to show me their actual like badges, they said it's none of your concern. They mugged me and they just walked away. How does that particular stuff happen in the airports and they get away with this type of stuff? Because when I asked could I file a report, they told me there was no need, and they were police officers. But I was like, they're in plain clothes. They wouldn't show me their badge, but they put their guns in my face to threaten me, broke my stuff, and then said, oh, let me go once they seen I didn't have any drugs on me. So I was like, wow, stuff like that happens like that?
Yes,
I was
it
very
does.
nervous. I thought like
Right.
my life was in danger.
Right,
Like I
right.
called my mom like, yo, I felt like I was about to get killed.
Right.
Because he like put his gun to me and was
Yeah.
like, you know,
Right.
we ran your name. And I'm
Right.
like, you didn't run my name.
Well, what
Like,
happened is that, okay, so airport security consists of the no-fly list, caps,
okay.
other criteria, one-way ticket, the way that you purchase form of payment, flying to a certain highly examined countries, Libya, Sudan, Iran, Iraq, and So,
Okay.
so what happened is that these intelligence systems that everybody's name is being ran whenever you check in. There's databases that are out there, CAPS 2. That's
Okay.
what's out there now, and a no-fly list.
Okay.
And so what happens is that when your name is flagged, okay, things like this occur.
So, but can your name be flagged just for nothing? Just flagged? Because I mean, I've never had a record
Right.
or anything.
Well,
so
there's-
I felt like, what is
Right.
this about?
So therefore, because there was nothing that you had on you.
Nothing.
There's nothing, your name, but that incident should have been done in an isolated area.
Yeah,
not
they
in
did
front
it in
of
front of all the
everybody.
people. And when I
Yeah.
got back on the plane,
Yeah.
everybody was like, "You're all right," but I
Yeah.
felt embarrassed,
Yes,
and I'm
right.
like,
Mhm.
"I didn't do anything. I'm a
Right.
paying customer.
Right.
I'm trying to
Right.
travel
Right.
from
Right.
here to
Right.
LA,
Right.
and I'm
Right.
being abused
Right.
by someone who just
Right.
ran up
It
on
should
me,
have
and it was
been-
about 6 of these
It should
guys."
have been okay. So tell me this: were you on the plane and they
We were getting off the plane on a layover. You know
there
how
you
you
go.
get off, and I
so
was walking
so what
through the
happened
airport.
is that whenever you where'd you fly out of here?
We flew out of Philadelphia.
There you go. So
and
whenever you flew out of Philadelphia, your name was flagged, and then they obtained you.
when
they
we got to
obtained-
the
there you go.
layover,
Exactly.
but they did it in front of everybody, and it was
yeah.
like I felt
Yeah.
like this is a dangerous situation
right.
because, and not only, and not trying to sound, but they sound very prejudiced.
Right.
Like, you shut
Right.
up, you
Right.
do what we
Right.
say.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, hold up, I
Right.
didn't
Right.
do anything,
Right.
but I felt like I was about to lose my life
Right.
in there because I'm just traveling from one
Right.
place. And then he said, "Why you don't have any cash on you?"
Right.
He's putting
Come
his
on.
hands in my pocket.
Okay,
I said, "I got my
so-
money on my card."
So last year, there's a cash smuggling ring in Atlanta. Delta Global Service employee, husband and wife team. They smuggled large amount of money from Atlanta to California, and by misusing their SITA badge. And what happens is that the cash is really huge right now. I know several people personally who had been arrested by getting cash through, trying to get cash through, through security checkpoints, and they were arrested and did time.
For cash?
Most certainly. Most certainly.
Wow.
Yes.
That-
Was it fake money? Or
No.
it was actually legit
Right.
money.
But in this case with the drug smuggling, the cash smuggling, it's you use your badge and you have a mole waiting for you upstairs, somewhere.
Wow.
So in a
So-
sense, is that abuse of power, or your name being ran is
No,
what you're supposed to
That's
do?
intelligence.
That's what
Okay. So within the layers of security,
Okay.
within the layers of security, there are 20 units of security.
Okay.
Okay. You heard, well, if you heard, security is a multi-layered approach. Okay. So there's 20 units. Those databases that I was just explaining, it starts at the top, intelligence.
Okay.
That's intelligence. Okay? And it ends with the passengers. Okay? So in between, you have customs and border, you have pre-screening, you have Viper, you have a whole bunch of different things, law enforcement. Of course, you know, you have the ground service people, and then behavior detector officers, and there's 20 units within the layers of security. So what happens is that whenever there is a policy change, that policy has to transfer all the way down to the passenger to make sure that you guys are safe. So that 311 policy, it had to trickle all the way down to make sure that you all are not bringing anything, gels or liquid. So my theoretical construct for my book is WIC's 1979 Organizational Information Theory. So it's interested in the way that information is transferred down, communication, and instead of worrying about the structure, it's worried about the process. Like you just asked, as far as your incident, you know, what is this? So what happens is that as far as airline and airport employees, we obtain these badges, and our training, our training is only a certain criteria. There's only 4 things that we have to learn in our training in order to receive those CITA badges to obtain the gateway of the world. Only 4. And there's only 2 classes. 2, if you're driving outside, is airport security and drive.
Okay.
And if you're management, you have another course. So, with that being said, whenever we're getting trained to obtain those badges, our training is minimum. Okay? So, that's how we are abusing our badges. You understand?
So you think they knew from the point that I left Philadelphia that I was going to get searched when I got off of that plane?
Yes.
They already knew. It was just,
yes, once they report you.
That was
yes,
it.
Yes.
Just by running my name, just getting on a plane. Like I wasn't doing nothing but getting on a plane.
Right.
And so they already knew.
Well, whatever
That's that game.
Whatever was flagged.
Wow.
Whatever was flagged.
Whatever was flagged. And that was funny because they searched the bag, then they searched for money. Then and I'm like, why? I didn't understand it.
So you didn't have anything
I didn't have anything.
There you
and
go.
then I'm looking at like, well, y'all could have apologized because y'all just broke my video camera. But they walked away like they had authority. And then
that's it.
it's abusive.
That's
though.
it. So the TSA, they have the authority.
Wow.
Before the TSA, remember I said it's the FAA?
Right.
But now it's the TSA, so it's the government agency. So anything goes. So behind the security checkpoint, the airline, the airport, and the TSA employees, those 3 entities, we all have to work together. So if you're getting treated, you know what I mean, a certain way, how do you think the environment behind the security checkpoint is?
Right.
With the 3 entities, because they were just implemented since 2001. You have people that's been there before 9/11 even, happened. So now it's like a lot of tension between the 3 entities behind the security checkpoint. So
when you have those particular badges that you're talking about, does that stop you from being searched like everybody else? Do
no.
you
Good
get
question.
searched?
Yes, we do. So often it's called random screening.
Okay.
I said often because they're random.
Right.
They're random. We don't know when the random checkpoints are going to be. But, however, whenever you do in the Philadelphia International Airport, it's a hub operation. So if I am a manager for certain location, I have access to certain concourses, doors, okay? So your access will be different from my access. Your access is going to be different from my access.
Oh,
okay?
Here we go.
Okay. So there, it all depends upon your work area.
Okay.
So if there's random screenings and I'm bringing something through, knowing that I can't bring something through, and I got access. So if I'm coming into work and I can see that there's people standing in line to get through the door, I already know.
You go
Turn
in the
around.
Cause why?
Because you see that line right
And
there.
I have
and
something.
you got something on you.
So guess where I'm going?
You're going to go get rid of that thing.
No, I'm going to another
Oh,
door.
The door.
Oh.
Because it's an ID card.
Because you have access to another area.
Oh. Sneaky.
Wow.
Welcome to my research. And to be honest with you, I had no idea I was landing on this. This is uncharted territory.
That's why I was looking at it like, why'd you call it the inside, man?
Because I'm the inside.
Right.
And because what actually happened, how did I actually obtain this information, is because I kept getting told no.
Ooh. You don't like to hear no?
Well, no. I was my interest
I could tell.
my interest was to conduct my research two different ways.
Okay.
And I had presented my information to the airport authority, to different people, and they kept telling me no. Now I'm in my 8th year, obtaining my PhD, trying to get my research just to get a yes. And my committee for my university said, do not touch the passengers. Do not touch do not research the passengers. Do not obtain my data from the passengers. Just deal with the airline and airport employees.
And that's where you get the inside
And
work.
that's how I embarked on the internal threat.
Gotcha.
Not knowing that this was the hottest thing out there. So God just blessed me
did
with
your
something
research,
on, I had no idea. What my whole goal was, I have my experience, here's my education, I'm here, let me finish. And not knowing that all of my experience in my years and what is actually happening is it's right here in this book. So I'm considered as an airport security internal threat.
I was about to
expert.
ask you that. Do they
Yes.
look at you as a threat?
Do they look at me as a threat?
Sometimes, because you got a lot of knowledge going on. In
Well,
there. Do they want you
yes.
to bring some of
well,
this
if you,
attention
well,
out
first
to the
of all,
people?
look at me.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's right there. That's number one.
That's number
then
one.
on top of that, PhD, and then
I
now
know.
is the information. So here before I've done my due diligence, guys.
Okay.
It's not like I just decided just to come out here and just put people on blast. No,
Right.
that's not my goal, because there's a resolution to all of this.
Right.
I didn't get to that part yet. But I have definitely done my due diligence. Before I even started this quest, the first stop, I went back to the Philadelphia International Airport, and I spoke to the individuals, I'll just choose my words. I spoke to the individuals who actually was telling me no, and, I can't do my research here.
Right.
And I let them know, my name is Dr. Stacey Tyler. My research was conducted at the Philadelphia International Airport, and I did a whole presentation for them so that we can partner, because I have training solution for them,
Okay.
for every airline airport employee. My goal is to implement my training. I created and developed a 10-course curriculum, Homeland Security curriculum. Homeland Security curriculum. Remember that you was asking me, what's your degree, no. I didn't have to go, no one has to go to political science or, some other degree, international studies. No,
Okay.
this is Homeland Security
Okay.
to be certified. So, and I have an online platform also, so that every airline and airport employee can receive the proper training as far as the internal threat is concerned, because there's minimum training. For instance, what is airport security? Where did it come from? Why are we doing these things? Why are we putting our badges on the outermost garment above your waist, secure all doors, no piggyback? Why are we doing all of that? All we're just trying to do is pass the test so that we can get what? Our badge.
The badge.
Right? So you're not being trained. You're just getting the access to gain, to have the world at your fingertips.
Right.
Because what I was explaining to you is that, there are smuggling rings. In February 13, 2017, there was 26 airline, airport, TSA, and restaurant workers who were all in cahoots to smuggle 20 tons of cocaine over 20 years out of the Puerto Rico International Airport. You have December 2014, you had a gentleman by the name of Eugene Harvey, a Delta Airline employee, who smuggled 153 firearms from Atlanta to JFK by using his badge.
Man,
So this is what I'm talking about. This is big. But, however, on a daily basis, an employee can misuse their SITA badge by, if I'm traveling, and if I have a bottle of perfume or a bottle of something to turn up wherever you go, or a tool to fix whatever you fix whenever you get to your final destination, and if I know that I cannot take it through security checkpoint, well, I'm going to call Keisha, James, you know what I mean? Yo, can you meet me in the front of the airport to get my bottle perfume, my bottle something? I'm going through security checkpoint. They're taking my prohibited item and going through the security access point.
Wow.
Boop. I'm flying out of B-16. I'll meet you over at B-16, and guess what I'm getting back? My prohibited item.
Wow.
It happens every single day.
That's crazy.
So this is what I embarked upon.
It's basically correcting a problem that's in the airport.
Exactly. So, with that being said, I did my due diligence. I traveled the whole Eastern Corridor. I met with the Chief Security Officer in New York for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. I've met with Senator Cory Booker's team in Newark, which he endorses my business, Interactive Intelligence Corporation. I've met with CEOs of airports and distributed letters to them, along with congresswomen, congressmen, TSA, Department of Homeland Security. I was on Capitol Hill to talk about this matter. I issued letters to CEOs of airlines, their security managers, corporate security, every airline association. I've spoke to them. Trust, I have done my due diligence. So therefore, I could speak the truth. I could speak, what God has blessed me with. And with this partial government shutdown. Now, come on. So here, with the partial government shutdown, if I knew this information beforehand, how do you think I felt whenever this partial government shutdown was in existence? I was like, oh my gosh. So if I'm not eating, if I'm not getting a paycheck, and you're forcing me to come to work, how fragile this system is right now.
Right.
So the public, all that you guys received was which this book, the airport security book, is all about, because there's 3 different entities: airport, airline, and passenger, and who's responsible for paying for airport security. So when it comes time for airport security on the passenger's perspective, you guys are paying a security tax. So every time that you're paying,
So we pay
you're
for
paying
ourselves.
you're paying for the taxes. Okay? Okay, so you're paying for the failures that are happening. You know what I mean? You're paying for, so you're paying for security taxes, your lengthy long lines, security effectiveness, that's what your whole focus is as a passenger. So the media, the the TSA, everybody only wanted to hear how long would it take for me to get through the airport? What lane closures are happening? You remember?
Right.
Okay, what lane closures, how long is it getting through, security effectiveness, performance standards. So that was the ultimate goal. So why? So you guys can continue to fly. So why? Tax money. It's all,
Right.
and it's economy.
Wow.
So I'm not worried about you all in the security taxes. I'm worried about
The employees.
yes,
the
because I
inside.
know.
What they on?
Please.
They got
Wow.
some.
They
They
Please.
can do some things.
And who's minding the store because there was no random screenings done.
Wow.
No random. I already
You
did my.
checked in on.
Please,
you did your due diligence.
listen.
And they got them badges. They can do.
Listen.
Come
I
on. And they
literally.
not getting paid, so you know you're gonna want to do something. I'm not getting
Wow.
paid. I got a family. Look, they.
Man, this is crazy.
I won't speak too much either.
Right.
Okay. So with that being said, I said something's has to give when it comes time for this partial shutdown, government shutdown, because, already, I showed a video, at a town hall discussion that I did, in December 2017 with the airline and airport and TSA employees, but TSA never came, of course. It was about and there was a video that came out. It was a congressional hearing, NBC, and it was about the failures of TSA having a 95% failed rate of getting guns, weapons, prohibited items through security checkpoint. That came out November 2017, right? So over this partial government shutdown, what actually happened is that you heard about the gun that got through from Delta Airlines, on Delta Airlines, but in Atlanta. And there was a gun that actually got through January 3rd,
Okay.
made it all the way to Tokyo.
Wow.
And the passenger reported and had to return back. So again, regardless of the partial government shutdown, the standards for TSA, as far as the TSA employees doing their jobs effectively, regardless if there's a shutdown or not, there still are issues. Okay.
Okay. Whoa. Dr. Stacey, Tyler, we're about to take a little 2-minute break. We're going to play, I guess, So Unexpectedly one more time on my man Anthony Lewis, just to get the tension eased up in this place a little bit. Hey, you want to drop that song for a second, man? We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. The voice of reason, man. We have Dr. Stacey Tyler.
Dr. Stacey, what?
I'm sorry, guys.
No, this is good